So that's effectively, it's gone.
It's gone. It's gone.
Wow. Wayne, how did you find Carnivore?
Well, first of all, I tried several different things. I'd been diagnosed as a type 2 diabetic 20 years ago. So you can either treat it, work with it, or you can go into denial and just carry on the way you always have and hope that the pills take care of everything and the little bit of exercise that you're doing. So that went on for up until about a year and a half ago. And I went to see a new doctor. I changed doctors. And she did some blood work on me. And all of a sudden she refers me to a internal doctor, a nephrologist. Anyway, an internal doctor. So I go and see this internal doctor. Didn't know him from a bar of soap. Saw him for the first time. And when he sat down and opened up his laptop, he looked at me and he goes, "Mr. Ilesley, really? Really?" And I'm sort of sitting there thinking, because I haven't seen the results of the blood work. So he said, "Look," he said, you're heading straight for kidney disease." He said, "Your liver, you've got a fatty liver." Although I wasn't overweight really at all, I was at a pretty good weight. But I was what some people say, fat on the inside. So anyway, my wife and I started to research just different things to treat that particular problem that I was heading for. So we put together this, and we got it from Dr. Ken Berry. No, it wasn't. Dr. Mandel, that's what my wife given me. Anyway, it was a drink. It was like 100% pure cranberry juice, a cup of that, 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, and the juice of half a lemon. And I was to drink that on an empty stomach. So the key to drinking that is when you start, don't stop halfway through it, because you'll never get the other half down. But anyway, so I go back to the doctor's 6 weeks later, and he show him my blood work. He pulls out his laptop, looks at his laptop, and he says, "Okay, Mr. Ilesley, your numbers are where they're supposed to be. Everything's good. I'll see you in 12 months. Have a good day." And I nearly fell off the chair. I went from dire straits to smooth sailing in a second. Now, so I knew that what I was eating and drinking, I had a good inkling that was the answer to my problems, but I just had to tweak it somehow to work for me, to work in getting rid of my type 2 diabetes, because I'd been told by, heard from several doctors that you can reverse type 2 diabetes. So anyway, with that thought in mind, I went for a trip overseas to Australia. And as you can imagine, I didn't really behave myself, with food and drink and all that sort of stuff. And it was really, really hard to say no. But anyway, so when I flew into the airport, when I arrived back home here, I flew into Pensacola Airport. My wife was there waiting for me. Now, unbeknownst to me, she'd been on the carnivore diet for the entire time, 6 weeks that I was away. And she'd lost
25.
about 25 pounds. I'm not sure. I think it's like 10, 12 kilos. And getting off that long flight and being in such a fog, I didn't notice that she'd lost the weight until the day after. So anyway, I've got 25 kilograms of Cadbury's chocolates, Easter eggs, and just licorice, and just everything that I brought back for the kids, right? So, and it was tough, but I didn't really have not one piece of it. Okay, I handed it all out. Oh, tell a lie, I had a little piece of chocolate with licorice in it, but that was all I had. But my wife said, look, we've got to improve our health. We've got to work at the way we're feeling. And being on the internal doctor said, what was it, keto diet? No, Mediterranean diet. Okay. So, I do condo maintenance. I'm in and out rented establishments all the time. And I always had gas, always. And I'd go to a job and I'd be in the kitchen and I'd be up under the sink and and someone had come into the kitchen and be like, oh my God, you need to get out of the kitchen. But it was all the time. And I also had psoriasis. I had a mild form of asthma, and I was on my way to sleep apnea. My wife and I had a competition. She'd try her best to fall asleep before I did, so she could sleep over the snoring. Since I've been on the carnivore diet, I've been on it since I got back from Australia in March. The first thing I noticed was my skin. All of a sudden, my skin is shining. And it was almost like I just rubbed some really expensive lotion over my hands and arms, and it just and the top of my head, it just everything went shiny. This is a layman's explanation for what goes. I'm not a medical expert at all. And I stopped snoring. I don't have psoriasis. I mean, there's a little bit of dry skin there now, but it was all over my arms, my knees, and the energy that I feel now is just phenomenal. The days here at the moment are like hovering around between 38 and 45 Celsius with 100% humidity. I don't know if you've seen Cool Hand Luke with Paul Newman in it, where they're all in jail, but they've got that big sweatband. It's like that, mosquitoes and everything. So anyway, but the difference, the fog that I used to have, with the type 2 diabetes. I don't take any diabetes medication anymore because my blood sugar's in check.
So that's effectively, it's gone.
It's gone. It's gone.
Wow.
I check my blood sugar in the morning and I check it at night, and I can tell you exactly what the numbers are going to be because I can feel it now. And diabetes attacks your immune system, and being in maintenance, hands-on work, I'd get cut up and scratches and stuff like that, and I'd have a cut on my hand, and for 2 weeks, 3 weeks before it'd heal. Now everything's healing like it's supposed to. My asthma, I don't have asthma anymore. And another thing too, just after I started the keto diet, my wife was telling me about these little electric shocks that you get. It's like, it's what I realized what it was my body healing. It was like, where I had my psoriasis, I'd get little tingles up my arm. When you have a bad wound and it's healing and it gets itchy, it was sort of something like that. And I felt that it was me feeling my body healing itself. And the way I feel right now, I don't care if I ever eat another vegetable, another piece of fruit. I mean, I used to love all that sort of stuff. But now, even after just 4 months, now we eat for sustenance. It's not like it's not a recreational thing. Go like here, you can go to a Chinese restaurant for, $30 a head or $25 a head and eat until you fall over. But I've got no intentions of doing that. The only time that we've been out, we went out with some friends to a Mexican restaurant, and we had fajitas. I don't know if you know what fajitas are. We had the combo. We ate the meat. We told the waiter to take back the tortillas, take back the refried beans, all that sort of stuff, and we just ate the meat off the plate. The next day, felt a little bit ill
because of the seed oils
in the stomach. And we were sitting there trying to think of, because we're trying to do the right thing and we're trying to follow this. And I don't really call the carnivore diet a diet. It's really a lifestyle, once you get into it. But we worked out that they cook the meat in seed oils. And if you take a break from carbs and sugar and seed oils and all that sort of stuff, and then you get introduced back to it when you pass that threshold, you certainly taste it and it'll certainly let you know.
Yeah, I've had a similar experience. Yeah.
Oh, I had shoulder surgery last year. 3 months after the shoulder surgery, I had a pinch. It pinched. So I had to go back to the surgeon and he gave me an injection, right? And he said, your shoulder's pinched. He said, you need to just take it easy, exercise it, and this will take care of it. All the way up to the point where I flew back from Australia, just before I started the diet, my shoulder was killing me. If I slept on my shoulder, it would hurt. If I rolled over onto my other shoulder, my bad shoulder would slump forward and it had hurt also. I couldn't get comfortable. But now that I'm on the carnivore diet, all the inflammation's gone and my shoulder's back to normal. Can't even tell I had surgery.
That's awesome.
It is.
And so this is about 3.5 months now.
About 4 now, closer to 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in 4 months, how have you been eating to get to this point?
Well, that changed. I started off where I'd get up in the morning and I'd put some beef in a pan, some bacon, but I'd also chop up some onions and some bell pepper or capsicum. And I did that for about 2 or 3 weeks, and I sort of still wasn't. I sort of still wasn't doing it. I could tell there was something amiss. You can feel it. So I thought, okay, I'll just get rid of the onions and the vegetables altogether, and just have the meat. So at the moment, I have about 3 or 4 strips of bacon. We got chickens out in the backyard, so we got eggs out the wazoo. So it's like I have 4 or 5 eggs. I might have some smoked sausage, and that's pretty much about it. And it's not always that I eat first thing in the morning. I might get out of bed and maybe 11 o'clock I might decide to, I might start to feel hungry, because it changes you feel hungry, but in a different way. It's not that let's run down to the cake shop and get a pie and a pasty and get rid of that carb. It's a different hunger.
It's a nice different, right? It's
oh yeah.
Excuse me, Wayne. This is like your stomach talking. Excuse me, Wayne. You might be hungry in the next 3 or 4 hours, just so you know. But before it was open the fridge and get whatever you can right now. God.
And plus my food bills. You take all those vegetables and all the fruits, and all that stuff that's bad that people have been telling you that's good for you. With this food pyramid, the food pyramid's not only upside down; it's just outright wrong. And it's taken me 69 years to work. Well, actually, I didn't work it out. Thanks to my wife, she worked it out for me. But at this point, when I first started, my wife said to me, "Well, we'll get to a point where, we might be able to add some things back." But in the beginning, I didn't realise how I'd be feeling right now, and that really doesn't matter anymore. I don't. I enjoy what I eat in the morning. I love bacon. Oh my God! You stuff 6 rashers of bacon in, it'll make you smile.
Right.
Not to mention what it's doing for your body.
Yeah, it really changes your perspective on food and hunger and eating, right?
And my wife says my attitudes. I'd be the first one to say that I'm not an easy person. Well, I don't think any Aussie would be easy to live with. But sometimes we have a what do they call it, a clash of cultures, because she's from here and she's got that that Alabama southern drawl, and sometimes I don't know whether it's the drawl that I can't understand Or that's just a natural progression. When you get old, you can't hear your wife. But I'm not a professional in that field either.
Yeah. So this brings up an interesting point. How did your wife find it?
Let me get her to tell you.
Hello. Hey.
I've been, I guess, pretty much low carb for since probably March or January of the 23, and I was to a point that I was getting diet fatigue. I'd lost 40 pounds maybe, and it was, to the point where I can't lose any more weight, and I need to either enjoy his vacation or figure out how to get rid of some more weight. So anyway, I woke up one morning and there's a Ken Berry on YouTube feed, and I'm like, let me look at this, and some Jason Fung, and I'm thinking, well, I'd already given up eating breakfast because I never liked to eat breakfast anyway. And that was easy to start listening to Jason Fung about fasting and figuring out, you know what? I haven't ever really ate bad, but I eat too often. All those nibbles here and there are going to add up on your insulin spikes and whatever's going on while you can't lose weight. But anyway, so I started watching thousands of hours of video, and I thought, gotta try it. I just gotta try it, so I ate a steak. And then next day I had another steak, and pretty soon it was really easy to go OMAD. And then here I am, I lost almost 30 pounds in 6 weeks, and then I've leveled out. So I've got like 24, 25 more pounds to go, but yeah, it'll get there.
And was it easy to convince Wayne to give it a try?
Yeah, just like said, this is what I'm cooking and eating. If you don't want to do it, that's fine, but this is what I'm going to do. And he pretty much follows me wherever I go. He has for years now. We'll be married 35 years this month.
Thank you for letting me know.
You back to him.
Thank you.
And I'm not going to say it feels like 100, but anyway.
Wow.
So she was worried that when I got back, I wouldn't. But I think I was at my wit's end at that point. After the with the internal surgeon and getting all that bad news, I thought, well, either I'm going to have to do something about it, or because I always thought old age. When I got up to 60, it was like all this inflammation. It was like this is all part of it, and it's not. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah, that's right. It's like as you get older, you start to get into this mindset of, well, I guess the wheels are falling off now. I've just got to accept it and whatever. And it doesn't need to be that way, right?
No. Yeah, and getting up in the morning. My wife, she gets up at like 5:30, 6 o'clock, just bang out of bed. I've never been, this psoriasis that I had, I've had that since it was childhood psoriasis. I've had it since I was 6. And, I went through, through my teenage years, my mates would come up to me and say, oh, hey, Wayne, you want to go down the beach? And here I am covered in all these red. And to your viewers out there, if you've got psoriasis, you need to look at this diet. So there were many times when I was just too embarrassed to to go out in public, because, you know, having someone walk up to you and point at you and go, "Ooh, what's that on you?" You know, but people who have psoriasis know exactly what I'm talking about. But but I've had it since the age of 6. I'm 69, and it's the first time in my life I am psoriasis free. And it's got to be, and the way that I feel, even if I don't ever go and see another doctor again, the way that I feel just explains everything to me. It's just, you know, I've never felt this good. I feel like I'm 20 years old.
Yeah.
I feel like someone's passed me a chalice full of the elixir of youth, and I've just drank it. You know, I know that's a pretty extreme, but I've just been revitalized. And if I had known this, I would have done this years and years ago.
Yeah. So, speaking of doctors, has this experience put you in a mindset where you're a little more skeptical of the idea of a medicine to fix everything or to patch everything up?
Very.
Something to say about that.
Hang on.
Okay, skeptical here. I probably haven't been to doctors, maybe only for broken bones, knee surgery, broken bones, and that's about it. I've never had a blood test done. I'm 62. I'll be 63 in October. Actually, I went out and bought one of those A1C hemoglobin tests, and I took it the first time that I had, you know, been on the diet. I thought, well, I'll see what my A1C is anyway. So it was 4.9. So I'm thinking, I haven't done bad with my diet through my life. It's just the constant feeding of my face that I think has been the, you know, learning about what insulin does, I think, through all these doctors has just been just like eyes open.
Yeah,
and now I
it
can
really
control it.
is.
Are you kidding me? 62 years it took me to figure this out.
But I mean, it also, like, you know, you've taken control of everything. So there's this feeling of like autonomy, right? Which a lot of people in their 60s, I mean, I'm about to go into my 50s. A lot of people in their 50s, 60s, 70s don't have, because they're already relying on a doctor to patch them up every month, right?
You know, I watched my parents. My dad died when he was 69 from an aorta aneurysm of the abdomen. And then my mom passed away basically through medical malfeasance and in a hospital in Birmingham 14 years ago almost. You know, everything I've ever seen goes into the medical system, never comes out.
Because
And, you know, when you don't have insurance, you think, you know, I'll just be a little more careful when I'm crossing the road, or I'm going to be a little more careful with my diet, or, you know, if I don't feel good after I eat something, maybe I shouldn't eat that anymore.
I don't want to spend my money. I don't want to sit in a doctor's waiting room and spend my money on doctors and drug companies and stuff like that. I want to spend that money on a good cut of meat.
You know,
A real nice ribeye.
You know, I don't wear glasses. I don't have any vision problems, but, you know, I have achy joints. I'm 5'11". So, you know, I've always had creaky joints. I'm hyper flexible or whatever that is. So, you know, it's always been a struggle for being athletic. I just have to move slow and easy. So this has been great because I haven't had to do all that strenuous exercise to move the weight this time. So it's been awesome.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, I give them back. But I had to say that about doctors.
I knew
Yeah.
she'd come in and try and take over, so I knew she would. But anyway,
You've had these good results, and it's only been 3.5 months. You're both doing much better. Um, what are people around you saying? Like, what are your kids saying about this?
for a start, especially with Callie, especially with the women, it's like she has an absolute killer tan.
And I haven't had to try. I just go out in the sun and I turn brown now. It's just crazy.
There's no redness. It's just a straight tan, and it's because of that diet. But the women will walk up to Callie and go, "Have you lost some weight? You've lost a lot of weight." And the next question is, "How did you do it?"
And then the next thing that says, "Oh, I couldn't give up my chocolate or my vegetables."
Right, or the wine or anything like that. You get a when you talk about the carnivore diet to other people, you get a variety of replies, and it's all over the scale. It's like, what about cholesterol? You can't have a glass of wine. You can't eat fruit. Oh, I love my fruit. Can you have bread?
Here I come sneaking in again. But mostly, it's like, I was low carb for 6-7 months before I started this. And the first time I dropped fruit and vegetables, I dropped another 30 pounds. It's not like I'm just dropping water at the beginning of a diet. So, that was something about all the inflammation. I had hip arthritis that's not there anymore. I had knee surgery that was always inflamed for the last 15 years. I don't have that. Everything's great.
It just eliminates all of the inflammation, all of it. And with diabetes, you have a lot of foot problems, numbing of the feet. My feet aren't numb anymore. I can feel my feet, and just not having to take the medication every day, because there's more medication can do more damage than good. Those what do they call them, the statins, all that sort of, the side effects. And I can talk about the statins because I took them for a couple of years.
And they had you on statins too.
Yeah, yep. And I took them for a couple of years, and it affected me mentally. It affected me physically, especially in the bedroom. Once I learned about statins and what the actual benefits are, and what the benefits, the negatives outweigh the benefits by volumes. And so I stopped taking them. But as soon as I stopped taking them, I started to feel better. It was a noticeable difference. And I took metformin for a while, and I was up to 1,000 milligrams twice a day, which is quite a high dose. But I gradually weaned myself off those as well, and I had a different positive reaction after that. I walk about 3 or 4 Ks a day. I do exercise. The the weird thing about this diet, and the reason why I say, I'm not doing this carnivore thing to actually lose weight. I'm not using it as a weight loss thing. But I've stayed the same weight, say, for the last couple of months. It fluctuated only a couple of pounds, but I've lost inches off my waist. And when I look in the mirror now, I think I'm looking at somebody else. I haven't seen my six-pack abs since I was 16 years of age, and I can almost see them now. And there's a lot of truth in that. The carnivore diet, just replaces all your fat with muscle, and I'm all for that because, geez, it makes you feel good. Oh,
Right.
I feel so strong and energetic right now.
Yeah, it's it really is like just it just seems to be the way we were meant to eat, because when you eat this way, everything just starts working better. Everything stops hurting, and
The proof's in how you feel, and
yeah.
you can't deny that. My granddaughter contacted. She lives in Australia. She contacted me, and she said, "Poppy, I know you're on the carnivore diet. How's it working out for you?" And I said, "Why?" And she said, "Because," and I didn't know this. She said, "Well, I've got psoriasis, and my doctor said that I have psoriatic arthritis in my joints. She has anxiety, just different little things that." And I said to her, I said, "You'd be a perfect candidate for the carnivore diet, right?" So she said, "Well, I think I'm going to try it." And I said, "Well, give it a go." I said, "Just give it a couple of weeks and just see how you feel." And and I know, but I said to her the carnivore diet, and then her mum sends me a letter and says that the UCLA college in California says that the correct diet for the human body is the pyramid, with the grains at the top and all that sort of stuff. And I said, and I don't want to get in between my granddaughter and her mum. And I said, "Well, that's good that you've got to the point where you realise that your problems are coming from your stomach." So her mum's got to do it. She said, "I think I'll try the keto diet first, which is better than nothing at all. And hopefully she'll realise that, what she's eating will take the inflammation down somewhat and maybe steer her in the right direction to maybe start thinking about the carnivore diet, because if anyone was a candidate, she is." Oh, now this is real interesting. My wife's sister's husband, my brother-in-law, had a series of mini strokes in the frontal lobe, and he's lost his vision, and several things have changed. He's was very lethargic. He wasn't tuned in, and the colour had gone out of his face, and there were sort of like red rings around his eyes. Anyway, about a month ago, my wife made some beef jerky. So he's been travelling having trouble eating and stuff like that.
You were
So
down to 130
it was down to about 130 pounds, and which is pretty small for a. Anyway, so my wife gave him a couple of pieces of this jerky, and he just scoffed it down. So anyway, we went out and bought some more meat to dry into jerky. So anyway, over the last couple of weeks, that's all he's been eating is jerky, beef jerky. The colours come back in his face. The rings have gone around. His face has gone back to normal, and it was at the stage where we'd look at him and go, "Oh, he doesn't, he doesn't look good." To now, where he's starting to look perfectly healthy, his face, his skin is shining, like.
And he's doing better with conversation.
He's better with conversation. And I know that's improved him. I know it has.
That's awesome.
And I see people around me all the time, my age, and they got big old guts, and they're walking around, they're going, "Oh, I've got to go for knee surgery, next week, and I've got to have a hip replaced and stuff like that." I don't want to do. I don't want to do that. And I feel doing the carnivore diet, and in the main thing is, if you don't enjoy it, you're doing it wrong. But I enjoy.
I never thought he would say that.
Right, I never ever thought that I'd ever say that, but I don't want to end up on someone's operating table at all. And at the moment, I think I'm well on the way. I mean, not to the operating table, but the other direction.
Yeah. So, what has changed about the way you think about, what's up for you next, or what's in the future, or things like that?
Right. When we first started it, I think it's a mindset. First of all, you've got to understand what what your goal is. I mean, you when you start a carnivore diet, you're not really going to know exactly what your goal is, because there's all these little twists and turns and surprises on the way, like those little tingles that I got around the area of inflammation where my psoriasis was. But it's all positive. It's, really. And when we first started, I went into it with the mindset, 6 months from now, I'll get myself to a position where, I don't have to take any of the medication, my sugar will be in place, I'll be at the right weight and all that sort of thing, and I'll have a big piece of Cadbury's chocolate. 6 months from now, that's changed, because knowledge is power, and when you listen to the good carb doctors, low carb, and especially this show, your show is just absolutely perfect, not only for people that are on the carnivore diet locally, but for the world. I mean, you interview people around the world, and that's great, because the world's a small place, really. But anyway, so going from having a plan to maybe having a block of chocolate at the end, and getting to the point where I drive past the fast food stores, the Wendy's and McDonald's and stuff like that. I was never really a big fan of hamburgers. I mean, I'll take a meat pie and a pasty over a hamburger any day, but and I'd drive past it and I'd smell it. But with the knowledge that I have now, about what I should and what I shouldn't be eating, it's like, that's poison. That's poison to me. That's the hamburgers, and that is somebody else's food, not my food. It's not going to do me not a stick of good. And I found out just recently that if you're out and about and you're stuck for food and you have to go to a fast food restaurant, Wendy's will sell you patties, and they have to be 100% beef. So, you know, if you have to get fast food, you can go to Wendy's and get yourself some patties.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always a good fallback just in case, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right. You know, always got to have plan B, mate.
Yeah. Where, like, okay, so let's say a friend comes to you and says, Wayne, you've done so well over the last few months. I want a bit of this. How do I get started with carnivore? What would you recommend they do?
I would write down all the names of the doctors, the carb doctor, you know, like Berry, McAfee, Bickman, Bart Kay. I like Bart Kay because he's not just a good professor. He's colourful and entertaining, and I sort of like it when he throws those four-letter words in, but it's creatively. But I would tell them to watch your show, because
That's what we do.
right, because you know that's what we do. I haven't watched all of your episodes, and I'm ashamed to say that, but but we're getting there, and it's real interesting because it's real, you know, it's real people, real experiences, actual. You know, you're not gonna get the idea of a carnivore diet from graphs and studies. It's got to be, this is hands on, how I feel. You know, I know this is right.
Yeah. I think watching all the videos, the Canberry videos, the Bart K videos, and the interviews, I think is a really good way to get started. And I think a lot of people have mentioned one of the important things about all these kind of videos is the comments, because there's no other way of eating where the people that are commenting are all going, yeah, it worked for me as well, and this happened as well, and that happened for me as well, you know. Like there's no vegan channels where everyone's, you know, saying I lost 1 million pounds yesterday and cleared up all my arthritis and all this kind of thing, you know. But it just seems that this works, right?
It's just mind-boggling to say, you know, even now that I had to get rid of the vegetables because they were hurting me. I couldn't. And, you know, I tried to do the right thing, you know, as a diabetic. You know, I mean, I even went to the store and bought $200 worth of vegetables and cooked them all up and put them in little serving cups and put them in my deep freezer. So I was eating these vegetables and I couldn't work out why I was feeling so bad. And so I'd eat more vegetables, and then for the next 3 days I'd have trouble to go into the bathroom, and it was an absolute nightmare. And all that's just like about face. There's just no sign of that. I go to the bathroom regular. I know. I'm sorry, guys, but it's all part of it. But if you have stomach inflammation, any type of inflammation, which is probably what I had, it'll just get rid of the inflammation for you. You don't need to be adding those vegetables because they're, I hate to say it, some of them are poison, just outright poison.
I mean, you've just described this vicious cycle that everyone goes through, you know. They try to do the right thing, they eat the vegetables, they have problems still. They think, well, mustn't be eating enough vegetables. So they increase the vegetables. Then they have more problems and think, oh, mustn't be eating enough. And
And
it's
then
just this.
they go
Yeah,
to the doctor and get a pill for it.
right.
And of course, it's a Band-Aid fix. I can't imagine the amount of money that's generated, by the sales of fruit and vegetables, basically worldwide. And to say to these growers and farmers that, the stuff that you're growing is detrimental to my health. But, on the other hand, you don't want to put them out of business because, you don't want to put a farmer out of business.
Just make him raise cattle.
Just dig up all those vegetables and put a few cows on your, on your ranch and, just change it all around. But I don't think you're going to convince everybody. But I actually had someone, a real estate agent, acquaintance of mine. He said to me, he said, geez, you're looking good, Wayne. And I said, well, thanks. And he said, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm doing the carnivore diet. And I said, it fixes your inflammation. It sort of takes care of most of your inflammation, if not all of it. And he said, well, I've had knee problems for months. And he said, I'm even thinking about going in and having surgery. It's all swollen. And I said to him, you should try the carnivore diet. It may, at very least it'll ease it. And he said to me, you're the second person that said that to me. And I said, oh, okay. So, the message is getting around, but like I said, you're not going to convince everybody. I mean, you feel so good and you feel that excited about how you feel and how things are going, and you just want to stand up on top of the hill and yell it out to everybody. But not everybody's going to listen.
Yeah. And, I think, as you said, the important thing is the message is getting out there. Everyone doesn't have to take it up, but it's there for when someone is at the end of their rope. They've tried everything, nothing's worked.
Exactly.
Thinking, what am I going to do? And it's just like, okay, well, I'll give this a go. And that's when they turn their life around, right?
I said to my son, he's not diabetic or anything like that. He eats like a big bowl. He's as skinny as a rake, but he eats like a big bowl of ice cream, carbs. And he plays ice hockey. And so he knows about nutrition and what he should and what he shouldn't be eating, because I went to him first when I first started the carnivore diet, and I said, the results that I'm getting, you need to try it, son. And he said, oh, no, I can't give up my carbs, my ice cream. He said, I can't give them up. And I said, well, look, I'm not trying to talk you into it like right now, son. I said, but because type 2 diabetes is in the family history circle, like, grandmother, relatives, I said, you're going to have to be prepared if that happens. And I said, now, if it does happen and you are diagnosed as a diabetic, you do have a plan B. Do the carnivore diet. It means giving up a lot of stuff, but in the long run, it doesn't matter, because you sort of look at it and you think, all that crap was hurting me, and all of a sudden it doesn't become desirable anymore. It just looks like that bowl of ice cream sitting over there. No, geez, I wouldn't eat that for all the tea in China. you know.
Right. Yeah. Eventually, you get to the point where it's like that dessert looks really nice, but what's in it?
Right, right. I mean, I like to think I've got a little bit of willpower, you know.
Just say, can I take a picture? It looks so nice.
Yeah, I'll take a picture and put it up on the wall. How's that? No calories, no sugar, no carbs. Just put it up on the wall. But it's definitely been a journey, and I'm glad that I've had the opportunity, even at this stage in my life, and it's never too late to get your life back on track. You know, you could. I mean, I went from stage 2 kidney problems,
Stage 3.
or stage 3 kidney problems, fatty liver, or just all of the above, psoriasis, sleep apnea, asthma, eye fog. That's all gone. It's just all gone. And why on earth would I want to go back and ruin all that? You know, it keeps me to it.
Yeah. Well, Wayne, do you have any way of reaching out to you if people want to get in contact? Do you have any social media or anything?
I have an email. I can share an email. It's Kelwayn, KELWAYN @live.com.
Awesome. Well, I'll link to it below. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. I really appreciate your time. And thank you too.